This soft-roader pickup from Geely may not be the last word in off-road ability, but provides a practical alternative to an SUV. This is Geely's lifestyle utility brand, marketed as Riddara in China. They were forced to change the name due to a copyright conflict in some markets. Measuring 5,260 mm x 1900 by 1880, the RD6 is a compact pickup by American standards. But here in the East, it's considered a substantially sized truck, with markets in Thailand, Malaysia, and Indonesia lapping up utes like this. The RD6 was designed from the outset to be an EV, meaning there are fewer compromises than one might expect. It has 225 mm of ground clearance and looks just a tad too low to the ground for comfort, but it avoids looking jacked up on steroids, and this slightly car-like stance lends itself to its market positioning. There are fake vents towards the lower half, while a clamshell-like hood masks a rather useful frunk with a capacity of 70 liters. The door mirrors, rather than connecting at the quarter glass, appear to be mounted on stalks. The side profile isn't totally flat, with a bit of flame surfacing deployed along with swollen arches. This makes our test car look a bit underwhelming, but the large profile sidewall definitely lends itself to ride comfort. Overall, the Riddara RD6 doesn't really stand out in traffic. It doesn't follow the trend of ginormous grilles and towering stances we see on many new pickups keen to capture those macho vibes. Even the newly launched BYD Shark manages to mimic the class-imposing nature with a much more off-road-centered approach. Finally, the rear bed measures 1,525 mm long, 1,450 mm wide, and 540 mm high. It's perfectly adequate but lacks some of the frills you may want, such as power outlets, although better-spec'd models come with V2L capabilities. The tailgate release is electric, but aside from the electronic catch, the hinge, the door itself, and the mechanism all feel heavy and sturdy enough to win over the old-school pickup collective. The RD6 offers just a good old clunky hinged mechanism. If the exterior is soft, the interior is more so. The interior isn't quite hosed-down bargain basement though, with a nice, supposedly, leather-wrapped steering wheel, an electric driver's seat, and a PM 2.5 air filtration system. The controls are decently damped with some metal effect knurling on things like the light switches and multifunction controls on the steering wheel. The plastic of the central console is a little lower rent than the rest of the interior, but there's a Land Rover-like rotary knob to control Geely's version of terrain response. The 12.3-inch central screen runs off some form of Android and is quick to respond to inputs. The top-spec Horizon 4x4 gets a usefully bigger 14.6-inch screen. Meanwhile, the drive is presented with a 10.2-inch LCD screen which is clear under various light conditions. The voice assistant is slow to react, with a good 10 to 15 seconds of lag between saying a command and the system gathering its thoughts together. But it at least understands basic commands from a wide range of accents and doesn't have you repeating them line after line. The rear seats are pleasant, in line with the RD6's positioning. The low beltline means that even children should be able to see the world fairly unhindered, and there are rear vents for the air conditioning. The overall feeling when you're inside is that the Riddara RD6 knocks on the door of SUVs and CUVs, rather than that of full-on pickups like the Ranger. Pickups have come a long way from their utilitarian roots, and it's fair to say that they're closer to your traditional car than ever. But even the best examples can have their agricultural moments. The Riddara RD6 negates all of that, and not just because it's silent due to it being an EV. And that does catch you off guard. You expect any vehicle with this body shape to be a little rough and tumble behind the wheel, but the RD6 displays a level of refinement beyond the virtue of its drivetrain having few moving parts. The steering is light, not so much that it feels disconnected from the wheels, but more so than you'd expect from an off-roader. Our tested model with the 100 kilowatts, 134 HP Zero motor is far from rapid, though with a 0 to 62 miles per hour, 0 to 100 km per hour time of 10.4 seconds. In contrast, other nations get the option of a model with a combined power of 310 kilowatts, 416 HP, with a blistering 0 to 60 miles per hour, 0 to 96 km per hour, sprint in 4.5 seconds. Top speed is limited to 185 km per hour, 115 miles per hour, but even at a decent rate of knots the cabin remains hushed, with tire noise being the most prevalent. The single most significant factor is its comfort. You can mount a curb and it feels second nature. Over expansion joints and rough roads, the ride remains composed and well insulated. While good, this also signals that the RD6 isn't a proper off-roader, as it's built on a monocoque frame rather than a ladder chassis.